Okay, so we're back. So we're adding the button. Okay, so on here we've got button, but it's an A. Okay, so I'm going to copy that. So we've added we're adding the other details, we're adding a button. So let me just copy the code there. So it's not that. So it says it's an A. Okay, and it's still adding the class, it's a button, and this one, I'll make it dark. I don't know. You can choose what it's going to be, primary and stuff like that. And here I'm still going to make it say add to basket. And I need to add the href as well. So that should be an attribute. Okay, href, part of the button, has to be there. And for the moment, we're going to make it say hash. We'll need to change that later so that it goes to a particular page. And what I will do is I will add the data for this particular book into here. Okay, so I'm going to add the data for that into here. So I'm going to say data, and I'm going to give the data some name. I need to say this book, and this book is data dot item. All right. Data square brackets index. Okay, so that is all the data for the book. I'm storing it in this button. Okay, so it should be an A, not an X. Okay, and then I'm going to add this button to that just goes into the card body. So I'm going to do that. So it's called card body. But I did the content, so I need to add title, but I haven't added the content. Into the card body and say my content, and then here I'm going to add the button, my twice. Okay, so that is now going to add that into here. So that's made a card. I've made a card here. So I've got the card. Let's just make sure we've done everything. So we've got the card itself. We've added the image to the card. We've made a body. We've added the title to the body. Okay, then we need to add the body to the card. Okay, so we'll need to say my card and card body. Okay. Now, obviously, we need to somewhere to store all these things. So it needs to go. So what we're sending back, we need to send back some div here. So I'll make a new div here. Let's call it my container equals, and I'm going to call it just a div. So it's going to hold all of those cards. I don't need to particularly give anything to it. So at the end here, I need to say my container dot append card, my card. Okay, so that here, sorry, that now adds the card to the container. Okay, everything's got to live inside container, so that will add the card to container, and then I can just, because they're all being added in one time, I can just return my container, and that should just return a div. Okay, see if that works. So let's see if it, first of all, if it makes something. So let's get my developer tools here. Okay, just make sure we are loaded in. So we're in books here. Okay, so it's done something. Okay, so it's made cards. Okay, and we can see them here. So we've got cards here, but it doesn't look very pretty. It's all in one big container here. Now, if we look in here, what we can see, what else we can see, we can make card columns, okay, which makes it more into a grid. So it might be worth putting the cards into card columns. Should we try that? And all that means is the container that contains the card needs to have a class on it. Okay, so we can just add a class to our container here. Dot add class, and class is card columns. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to use that there. See if that makes any difference. Yeah, that's a bit better. Okay, so these are my books into here. Okay, except that some of them are coming out not with the right widths. It's all right, but that's all right. It's made them as columns. So if I want them more regular, let's have a look in here. So there's card columns. Card deck is the other way to do it. It creates a grid that are equal height and equal width. The layout will adjust automatically as you insert more cards. So that looks a bit better. So if I turn it into a deck, so not card columns, let's say a card deck and save that and refresh. Yeah. Whoa, that's made it. That's not good, is it? So that's just made it into loads and loads of spaces. So what have I done wrong here? So equal that just as you insert more cards. So that's not very good. So what's a card group? The only difference is classroom is left and right. Cards are displayed on small screens with top and bottom margin. Let's go back to the other one and we can figure out that later, can't we? Okay, so let's make card columns. At least they're all navigable. So that's one of the things about. There we go. Okay, there they are. So I could add more stuff into here by adding more into my add other card details. So I might have more than one thing to go now. I might have a description. So it's a bit like the flashcards. We can add other things into the card content. Now, the card is what we used on the flashcards. Okay, and in there we use Materialize. It's a different one, but it's still made a card. And you should find in there that you can use that, right? That's there. So please do use it. So all I did was I've said create cards. I could say all books and do that if I wanted it as a table. And then that shows it back as a table. And the next thing to do, whichever way we're going to do it, ideally we need a search, something where we can search, just like we had on the flashcards where we could search for something. Okay, this is very similar to the flashcards now. We've got all the data. Also, I don't want to see, maybe I don't want to see, 300 odd all in one page. I might have more than one records. I might divide the page up into sections of 20, things like that. So those are the other things that we can choose to do. It applies equally as well if we are doing the cards. Okay, we don't want to see necessarily 300 cards. Okay, so I might only want to see 20 at a time or 10 at a time, and I might want to scroll through. And you've seen that on web pages, okay, where you've got that. And we can work out with the card deck and see how that works and so on. But this is where we need to make sure we understand what's going on. Okay, but all I'm doing is creating something dynamically, and that's the key.